So, yo, I had to share this great gift with y'all. Look what I just got. Shout out to my man Rick for this. He hooked me up with the vinyl of Method Man's Tikal. And why is this album so important to me? Well, it is Tikal that is the first ever CD that I ever purchased. That big mountain back there all started with this one. And if you were around in 1994, 95, you understand how monumental that album was. So shout out to my boy for such a great gift. And it comes at the perfect time because this very month we celebrate 32 years. Oh my God, I'm an old head. 32 years since the debut of the Wu-Tang Clan's celebrated debut album, 36 Chambers. Absolutely changed everything. But as great as they are as a collective, we got some incredible solo projects as well, Tikal being among them. So today we're going to look back at the 10 best solo projects from the Wu-Tang Clan members. Can't wait for this. This is going to be real fun. Come through. Welcome to another edition of the Soul and Stereo Session. So happy to have my homies here with me. And today you heard right, we are looking back at the best solo projects from the Wu-Tang Clan. Now, of course, we know the Wu is better as a unit. They form like Voltron. They are impenetrable. They are great. But on their own, they can be a force. And you know, sometimes there have been some criticism of a few projects here and there. Solo albums from the Wu-Tang Clan members? Do you want nostalgia or do you want the truth? Because if you want truth, I must give them... No negativity November. That's how we're gonna call this. We're just gonna talk about the good stuff. I mean, yeah, all of them haven't been great. We've had some struggles, if I'm being real. As I was saying, 3 stars. So yeah, I guess I can't hate. They all haven't been great. But look, even if you can't knock them all out of the park, sometimes they do, and they do it well. And we're talking about those today. So forget the hating. Today we're talking about the great ones. So players, protect your neck because we're about to go in and talk about the greatest solo projects from the Wu-Tang Clan. But first, before we get started, you know we gotta handle some housekeeping. Do your boy a favor and go down below and hit the like button on this video if you haven't already. It means a lot to your boy. And if you are watching this video and you aren't a subscriber, stop playing. Stop playing. Hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means so much for the growth of this channel so I can keep doing videos like this. Me, my boy, producer D Roth. We love to bring this to y'all, but encourage us. Hook us up with the subscriptions. And of course, finally, once you're done, make sure you share this with the Wu head in your life because Wu fans love to argue. I'm one of them. So I'm sure they'll have strong opinions about this list. All in love. So today, you heard it. Top 10 solo projects from Wu-Tang members. Coming in at number 10, I'm going to hit y'all with one that may surprise you. And this one is Masta Killa No Said Date. It dropped in 2004. Long after the heyday of the Wu, probably about 11 years after that. And we don't hear a lot about him because he's one of those enigmatic members that vanishes into the 36 Chambers, pops out with a couple verses, and then vanishes again. This album really took me by surprise. I was very impressed by what he did, and I was very happy to see a member of the Wu shine outside of the big 3 or 4 that we're going to be talking about a lot on this list. But this album is one that I feel like does not get enough attention today. If you have not experienced this one, it's one that definitely should be on your list. It is just, not only does it recapture the magic of the Wu's glory days, well, Masta Killa is dope in his own right, and he doesn't get that respect and love that he should. So make sure you check it out. The lyricism's on point. It just feels like a Wu project, and it warms my heart. So very underrated, but I had to show it love here. Check out Masta Killa. Coming in at number 9, Inspectah Deck, Uncontrolled Substance. So if you're asking me, the greatest opening line of a posse track of all time, gotta be Deck. Gotta be Deck on Wu's Triumph. He is a master lyricist. He's just incredible at everything that he does. He bombs atomically, what can I say? And this, his debut album, which didn't drop until 1999, again, it felt a little late to the game, but there's a reason for that. Unfortunately, the work that was done on this album by RZA was destroyed in that very infamous basement flooding in around 95. Make sure you look that up. That's a whole video in of itself. There's so many projects that are what ifs that we could have gotten that we never got because all of this material was destroyed. His was one that really hurt. Took years before he was able to come back and drop something. But when he did, it might not be what was planned, but I thought what we got was very good. Deck is always, like a lot of the members that are outside of kind of the big 3 or 4, very underrated. It's what he does. But lyrically, oh my gosh, he was really on fire. He had something to prove on this album. And while his later projects, of course, are great, they're still pretty good. I feel like this is the one that really defines him as a solo artist. Again, it's one that might not be on your radar, but it should be. Check out that Uncontrolled Substance. Coming in at number 8 is the chef himself, Raekwon, with Only Built for Cuban Links Part 2. So y'all know I'm not the biggest on sequel albums. I think that sequel albums set up unfair expectations because realistically, look at it. If you have an album that's about to drop and you name it after a beloved project, fans are automatically going to think that it's going to have that quality of that previous project. But that's unfair because especially an album like this, I mean, geez, at this point, it was like well after the fact. Like almost 10 years after the fact, it feels like. But you're not the same person that you are. You're not the same artist. You're not the same human being. It's hard to recapture that magic and to just slap on a label Part 2 just for the publicity of it all. Yeah, it's great for marketing, but it sets up unfair expectations. Who are we to doubt the chef? Who are we to doubt the chef? Because Raekwon went hard. Ray doesn't always have the best track record at this point of solo projects, as we talked about a little bit earlier, but by 2009 he was really turning the corner and really finding himself as a solo artist to match the incredible art that he created later on that we'll get to in a minute. This is one of those ones where he recaptured the magic of the original. It is so dark and intense, and where it doesn't feel as Wu-Tang flavored as like the original one, it still has its own themes where it feels like a Raekwon album. It doesn't feel like he's trying to do something else. I love the energy. I love the, oh my God, stuff like Surgical Gloves. Oh, masterpiece that's still in rotation today. He really captured the spirit that was missing. So props for him. And shame on us for ever doubting that man. This album is great. Coming in at number 7 is our boy the Dirt Dog, ODB, Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. I was surprised around 95 when ODB was one of the next artists up to get a solo project, because at the time, I mean, just being real and no shade to ODB, rest in peace, he felt always more like a hype man to me. He didn't feel like one of like the tried and true MCs that we were waiting for to have solo projects. Meth getting the first one made total sense. ODB getting one, it's kind of weird. So I don't say that I wasn't excited for it, but I wasn't expecting much. And how I was proven wrong, because as chaotic as ODB seems on the surface, if you actually listen to him, he is an MC at heart and very good at what he does. He's not a lyrical titan, but he knows how to twist those turns of phrases. He knows how to ride those beats. He knows how to tell a story and to give you energy unlike any other, and that's what this album does. His sophomore album almost made the list. I'm not going to do honorable mentions here because, again, I don't want to make a list of a bunch of folks that are repeating, but he definitely would have been an honorable mention. If I did 11, his sophomore album would have been number 11 on this list. ODB was so great. I hate the talent that was taken from us, and this album, with that infamous album cover, will be one that continues to stand the steps of time and to keep his legacy strong. We miss ODB because there was no one else like him, and that originality made him a legend. Coming in at number 6, we're back at this one. Yep, we are back at Tikal. This album was so anticipated at the time because he was one of the standout voices of the Wu-Tang, and he felt like the one that had the best potential to be like a mainstream star because those guys were so gritty, and Meth was gritty, but he just had that charisma, that charismatic flow, that engaging flow that he's become known for. It was like, okay, this is our guy. He's gonna be the guy to step out and carry the Wu as a solo artist. Now, I know you might see it in like number 6. I thought you just hyped this dude up. I'll admit, this album was, I have to be the unbiased reviewer, this album was slightly disappointing at the time, not because it was bad, but because we expected a 5-star classic. Just like the Wu-Tang project that came before, we thought it was going to be at that level. And when you have a charismatic MC like Meth, we're like, oh man, this is a classic in the making. Not quite, not quite. But again, it's still a good album. So even though it may have underwhelmed some expectations, it still means a lot. And I think it's one of those albums that today is better appreciated because it doesn't have to follow all the hype that came after the Wu initial project. So as a project itself is great. It gave us some memorable singles. Even though that Mary J song ain't up here, don't waste your time looking. Got to go get the single for that one. The old maxi single. But what we got was an incredible project. Songs like Bring the Pain continue to resonate. And to this day, still Method Man's best project. This one means a lot to me, even though I can admit that it's not perfect. But at the time, it was great and still stands as one of the best solo Wu projects. Coming in at number 5, I hope you get used to him because he's all over this list going forward. Ghostface and Fish Scale. Ghostface has gone on from the 2000s pretty much to today, in my opinion, to be the charter solo Wu-Tang member. And at the time, we didn't think that that was the case. More on that later when we get to another album. But Fish Scale I love because we talk so much today about trap music and oh my gosh and this and that and oh, rappers have always been talking about pharmaceutical stuff. And if you remember my video from a few weeks ago on the clips, the difference between these drug addict raps and albums like Clips is they talk about the conditions that these things bring to the community. It's not just like, hey, we're partying. It's like, this is what we're doing and these are the effects. Ghostface, while not as deeply into it as Clips, that he still talks about that in this album. And beyond that, it's Ghostface. His charisma is just off the charts. He's a guy that just throws random words together, makes them rap, makes them come together. It makes no sense. He said before, half the stuff, I don't know what I'm saying. It just sounds cool. Y'all ain't got to think too deep about it. But what we get are incredibly crafted songs, incredible beats, and an album that feels updated for 2006. Because another issue that some Wu projects had is sometimes the production was shaky. Sometimes it feels kind of out of place in time. This one feels like an album from 2006. And honestly, when I say that today, I don't even want to say it sounds stale because it still sounds pretty solid today. But it sounded fresh and new then and sounds pretty solid today. This has gone down to be one of Ghostface's most beloved and cherished albums, and for good reason. I love it. The most random songs, like Whip You With a Strap. I just love that song. No one talks about Jellyfish. I just love that song. So many great songs, all here. Ghost is that dude. Coming in at number 4, we are still on the Ghostface train with his debut and Iron Man. So, I talked before about ODB coming into his own and being the next artist up for a solo run, and we kind of being a little surprised by that at the time. I was a little surprised about Ghostface coming in so soon, because while he was on the debut, he didn't really stand out to me either as someone like a Jizza or a RZA. Like those, there are other people there who stood out. So Ghostface getting a project, I thought was cool, and especially coming off of the Raekwon album, I think anticipation was much more hyped, because we were like, when we heard him on Cuban Links 1, we were like, okay, this Ghost dude is great. I know that this project is kind of a sore point for him. I'm currently reading his biography right now, and he was going through a lot at the time. So whereas we love Iron Man as fans, he has a lot of mental baggage that comes with that, and I understand it. So he doesn't love this album, but from a fan perspective, oh my gosh, it is great. This album continues the momentum that was built upon not just the Wu-Tang album, but the original Cuban Links album, as Ghost finds himself as his own artist. And I love just things like the Daytona 500, oh my gosh, and he even got just so introspective on a lot of songs in ways that was touched upon on the Wu-Tang project, but not really on the solo projects. He just got really real, talked really deeply about his family situations. It made him such a vulnerable artist, and it made him so engaging. This is the album that truly made me a Ghostface fan, and he, from this point on, just carried that Ghostface, the Wu-Tang flag, honestly. He flew that thing higher than anybody, especially in the 2000s when some of these albums got a little shaky. You could always depend on a Ghostface release, and it started right here with Iron Man. Coming in at number 3, GZA the Genius, Liquid Swords. To me, of all the solo projects at the time and even today that have followed in the wake of 36 Chambers, this album feels the most like 36 Chambers Part 2. It just feels like a natural extension. And GZA, as a lyricist, we don't talk enough. I might make a video kind of talking about the difference between a lyricist and a rapper, because y'all be getting the game mixed up. As far as a lyricist, GZA is one of the greatest to do it ever. Like, you listen to him, it feels like you are reading an encyclopedia, and not a boring way. You feel more intelligent, more elevated listening to the way he constructs stories and words. And of course, like, oh my gosh, incredible songs on this project that feel like they could have been lifted from an already classic one. This album is incredible. It is his defining moment. It is his opus, and this one has carried his legacy far and beyond. He's had some good albums afterward, but none have even come close to this one. A near masterpiece, in my opinion. An incredible album that we'll always remember. I mean, that's why we call him the genius. GZA did one with this one. Coming in at number 2, we are back at Ghostface Killah with Supreme Clientele. Not that long ago, I called Supreme Clientele one of the greatest sophomore albums in music history. I didn't say rap history, I said music history. And you know what? I'm going to take that a little bit further. I think this is one of the best rap albums in rap history. This is an incredible piece of work. This year, we celebrated 25 years on SoulandStereo.com. I did a post earlier this year celebrating the impact of this album. And this album means so much to me on a personal level. A little bit like to Kyle, because I remember riding around on campus with this album blaring out on my speakers. I remember songs like Mighty Healthy, which has gone on to be one of my favorite songs of all time any genre. And it all started here. Ghostface was rapping like not only was the rent due, his children were in jail, his mama was killed. He rapped like he had something to prove and he had to save the world. It was just madness. He talking about ziti and strawberry kiwi. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. But it comes together so well. And again, he uses not only the madness, but he uses little spaces to talk about his condition, to talk about his family condition, to talk about the condition of the Wu in the world. He does that so well, entertaining and also enlightening. I love it. This album to me has become one of the stalwarts of Wu-Tang's legacy in general, and by far the best Ghostface album. Number 2 for a reason, but it's not the best. And coming in at number 1 is the best solo Wu-Tang project, Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links Part 1. If there was an album on this list that I could just turn into, like, adapt it into a screenplay, it would be this one. Before we got The Wire, before we got Snowfall, we had this album, this mafioso album that just plays so well. Raekwon just felt like he was on another level of emceeing. And with Ghostface at his side, he elevated Ghostface into this artist who at the time, like, we knew him, but he was not high on my radar as someone that, like, oh, I can't wait to hear a Ghostface project. I hear this, man, I can't wait to hear a Ghostface project. And as you've seen by this list, he has kind of dominated. And then the years that have followed, I could have put 2 or 3 more up here because he has done so well. But we're talking about Ray, we're not talking about Ghost. This project is incredible and it has such an incredible legacy today. If you go out and ask anyone on these internet streets, the best solo Wu-Tang project, there's a reason why they will talk about this one. It reaches the heights of the foundation that was planted in the debut Wu album and took it to cinematic heights. So before we heard just these dudes telling out their experiences using these kung fu samples, it was really cool, really catchy. Ray was able to take that and make his own crime drama, all laid out. An incredible album. Man, I need to see if I can get that one on vinyl next because it's dope. In my opinion, the best solo Wu-Tang project, and like Supreme Clientele, one of the greatest rap albums in rap history. Alright players, that's it. 10 of the best solo Wu-Tang projects in my humble opinion, but that's just me. So what did y'all think? What projects do you think need to be added to this list? Look, they could put a bunch of Ghostface projects up here. I wouldn't be mad at that. There should be more added. Wanted some RZA up here? Do you want some Cabadonna up here? Who was missing that should be on this list? Let me know, and we're going to check it out. Just don't fight too hard in the comments, but I'll be down there chatting it out with y'all. This edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions is a wrap. Always remember, Wu-Tang is forever. And Wu-Tang is for the kids too. Somebody told me that. So is Soul and Stereo. Play on, players.